Listen, the statute and the ordinance is very clear.
Okay, it's 7:30 on the dot, and we're calling the regular meeting of the Village of Oak Lawn Board of Trustees to order. Clerk Quinlan, please take the roll.
All right. President Barry?
Here.
Trustee Carberry?
Here.
Trustee Vorder?
Here.
Trustee Streit? Yes. Trustee Quinlan? Here. Trustee Olenichik?
Here.
And Trustee Desmond will not be here tonight, but we do have a quorum.
Thank you. Would everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. At this time, we open the floor to public comments, and we have one public commenter today, Mr. Ron Kapp, talking about various village matters. And this is an item on the agenda, sir? You're discussing an item on the agenda?
Basically, yeah. but
Okay, that's our policy, so thank you.
There's a amendment in the Constitution that guarantees free speech, which going to a Catholic school for 12 years, we took civics every day, every year, and we pounded into us that you had to know the Constitution. I don't know what they teach in the Catholic schools nowadays. I know that they don't even teach geography, but that was one thing we had to learn. And free speech is the ability to say what I want to say. It gives the press the right to say what they want to write. And that free speech goes as far as your nose. It has to stop just before it touches your nose.
Just on that point, if I could, there is, of course, free speech rights, but under the home rule and our ordinances, we're able to control the public comment section of this, and it has to be related to an agenda item, and that is by village code. So please proceed.
Okay, then the other thing is on Robert's Rules of Order. Supposedly, what I've read in there, if one of the trustees is making a comment about something, regardless of what it is, if you don't like it, that doesn't mean that you can bang your gavel to stop him. He is allowed to finish what he has got to say. Now, the last two meetings, one trustee was trying to get something out, you're banging the gavel, and when he finally stopped, you were calling for a vote on a matter. And then when he stopped talking, you called on two other trustees to say what they wanted to say. Not, okay, now it's time to vote. It was, do you have something to say? You have something to say? I mean, because you don't like that trustee or whatever, I don't know. But, you know, it is something, you want to be fair and open and honest. That's what you should do. My other point that I want to bring up, this was, I don't know how long ago it was, but Brandt's Cement Company, which is where the parking tower is now, it used to be called Brandt's Coal Yard. Any contract for cement that was let out in the village, they had to buy, it was written into the contract, they had to buy their concrete from Brandt's. They couldn't go anywhere else. What is the possibility with all this construction that we have going on in the village of writing it into contracts that any tradesmen who are living in the village of Oak Lawn and are not working should be allowed first shot at jobs in the village? It happens, there's a congressman from the east side who even came into Evergreen Park to protest that they weren't hiring the people he wanted hired. So why can't we have the same rights of hiring people who are tradesmen and live in Oak Lawn, and the work is being done in Oak Lawn?
Okay.
Some of it paid for by Oak Lawn.
And we're right at 3 minutes here, sir. Thank you.
Okay?
Good points. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, item 4 is the approval of meeting minutes from the regular meeting dated June 25th, 2013. May I have a motion, please, on item 4?
I make a motion.
Properly moved by trustee Vorder,
Second.
seconded by trustee Carberry. Any discussion?
Yes. I did have,
Clerk Quinlan? I'm
Trustee.
Trustee Quinlan.
yes. I would like to have one adjustment made to it. Under President Burry's report on board decorum, Trustee Strite had asked to discuss that matter and repeatedly asked for that. It was not shown in the minutes. Even though the request was ignored, I would think that should be in the minutes.
Okay, thank you. Any other amendments or adjustments? Okay. Clerk Quinlan, please take the roll.
Trustee Carberry.
Yes.
Trustee Vorder.
Yes.
Trustee Strite.
Yes, as amended.
Okay. Trustee Quinlan.
Yes.
And Trustee Oliniechek.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you. Item 5 is the approval of meeting minutes from the executive session, number 2013-04, dated June 11th, 2013. May I have a motion, please, on item 5?
I make such a motion.
Properly moved by Trustee Vorder,
I'll second it.
seconded by Trustee Oliniechek. Any discussion? Clerk Quinlan, please take the roll.
Trustee Carberry.
Yes.
Trustee Vorder.
Yes.
Trustee Strite.
Yes.
Trustee Quinlan.
Yes.
Trustee Oliniechek.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. When members of this board were running for office, we campaigned on a platform of transparency, which included disclosing conflicts of interest with agenda items. For the purpose of today's meeting, we're defining conflict of interest to mean any item on the agenda for which an elected official on this board, their family or business stands to benefit. At this time, I'm asking the board if anyone has a conflict of interest to disclose with any item on tonight's agenda. Hearing none, we will move on to new business by village trustees. District 2, Trustee Oliniechek.
Yes, I'd like to give the residents an update on Commonwealth Edison. An interesting letter to the editor from a Fidel Marquez from Commonwealth Edison, Senior Vice President of Governmental and External Affairs. And basically, it starts out that ComEd responds to power outage in Oak Lawn. Shortly after midnight on March 10th, the raccoon climbed the utility pole located at 5300 block of West 95th Street, made contact with a 12,000-volt power line. As a result, the wire burned and fell onto a 4,000-watt or volt power line, which resulted in the outage and caused a surge. In this, Commonwealth Edison claims they immediately responded to the outage. They restored the power to all affected, and that the ComEd team met with the village and that they launched a comprehensive investigation and concluded the investigation that it was not their company's fault. And this outage happened again on March 10th. Moving forward to June 24th. On June 24th, we had another major outage, which we all know that affected many parts of the village of Oak Lawn, much like the March 10th. And some of the people that were affected by the first one were affected by the second one, in which this board demanded Commonwealth Edison to meet with us to explain what happened, why it took so long, and what they're going to do. So if you can go to the next slide. They provided us with what we all know, that in extreme weather, June 24th came through, and this is their report from ComEd, talking about heavy rains, talking about winds, and all the things that we know going with the storm. Anybody that's lived in the village of Oak Lawn knows that storms go through here, and Commonwealth Edison knows the same thing too. In their next slide, they talked about the system impact and how they go to the largest group of residents without power to the smallest group of residents without power. After that, we asked Commonwealth Edison to provide us with a full-force ComEd team made up of senior management and field personnel to complete a field walkthrough with village officials, which we did on July 8th. Now, during this whole time, Commonwealth Edison still hasn't provided us with the answers of what happened in the first incident, and only is admitting that there was another incident that affected many residents in Oak Lawn, some of them for almost 3 days. We had a very good meeting to discuss what happened, but we still didn't get
the root cause, which we're waiting for that information to be provided to the residents in the village of Oak Lawn. But they did make some suggestions. As a result, the villages requested that ComEd partner with Oak Lawn to identify trees near power lines that can affect reliability for residents. There's a resident sitting in this crowd that brought a very good tree up that part of the tree came down. This tree is an older tree that is a west-facing, that when the wind comes from the west going to the east is probably going to cause some problems in the future. ComEd looked at that and said, yes, that makes sense that we can go ahead and start addressing and attacking some of those issues. Based off of the facts of, next slide, please. Based off of the facts in this last outage, specifically in the areas where people were out without power for 2.5 days, we have requested that the residents in the affected area with legitimate claims be made whole by ComEd for food spoilage and other expenses that they had. And the reason why is, as we were out in the field during these storms, we noticed that ComEd had 3 crews in the field. Remember, the incident happened at 6 o'clock on a Monday night. ComEd did not respond till the next morning, in which they only had 3 crews that basically started in the field at 8 to 10 in the morning, still not addressing the downed trees and the lines that needed to be repaired. If they would have reacted a complete 30 hours earlier, people would not have been without power, would not have lost food, would not have been inconvenienced again. Now, what I will tell you, that in going through the village of Oak Lawn, I've been talking with the board and I've been talking to the residents. It is very obvious by Commonwealth Edison's own admission and by Commonwealth Edison's own asking for a rate increase that our infrastructure is aged and antiquated. In our walkthrough of areas, we found poles that were from the 1940s and 50s. Average life of a pole is only supposed to be 40 to 45 years. We found poles that hadn't been inspected for over 15 years. Commonwealth Edison's own advice in their own preventative maintenance is that poles should be inspected a minimum of every 10 years. All I'm asking Commonwealth Edison to do and to partner with this village is to provide us with their actionable plan on a aging infrastructure and system and what they're going to do to make sure that the residents of the village of Oak Lawn can have a reliable power source. We've requested an overview of infrastructure upgrades planned for Oak Lawn pursuant to the Electric Infrastructure Modernization Act, the EIMA, and that we requested that ComEd review with Oak Lawn officials the overall reliability in Oak Lawn and compare its ComEd system. This review will include pocket areas where outages have been more prevalent than others. Oak Lawn has unique characteristics. We have neighborhoods that have been around since the 1920s, 1930s, 1940s, 50s. We have built as a community, and you can see, depending upon what area you're in, how your power is affected. And again, it goes with the aging infrastructure. It's time that we as a village continue to pursue Commonwealth Edison. And the only way that we can get action out of Commonwealth Edison is to make sure we hold them accountable and we pursue them going through the ICC. As of this week, the March 10th incident in which they claim a raccoon caused issues and people to lose thousands of dollars worth of electronics, we have filed a formal complaint with the ICC going after that. We are in the process of filing a formal complaint with the ICC, bringing up the last 8 years of power and the inconsistency with the power supply that Commonwealth Edison has had. I ask every resident that has been involved at one point or another with power outages to support this. By any time you have any type of power outage, you must remember you have to call Commonwealth Edison, because in this day and age, they do not know if your power is out unless you call and let them know. They freely admit that. And we as a community must pursue this. There have been people who were in affected areas that aren't affected anymore, and there are people who are in affected areas that need this support as a village to be able to move this forward. Because unfortunately, the ICC regulates Commonwealth Edison. They take what Commonwealth Edison gives them as explanations, like a raccoon, which we still haven't seen, and they take that as a viable resource of a report. We have no recourse to question the issues that Commonwealth Edison comes out, diagnosed, and self-assessed, and then tells you what the issue is. It is very, very enlightening to me that the vast majority of power outages, and think about this, any citizen that's been out there, Commonwealth Edison has not been held accountable for power outages. 99% of the time your power goes out, Commonwealth Edison has no liability in making sure that that power goes on in a reasonable amount of time or getting back to you, the consumer, with why that went out. I believe it's time that we go to the ICC and ask for more accountability with Commonwealth Edison. That is what this board is committed to doing. That is what the mayor and the village manager have sat in on countless meetings, and we'll sit in more meetings with Commonwealth Edison until we get more reliable power. I'll continue to give updates on Commonwealth Edison, but it is something that we all know somebody who's been affected by this. The next part of my report is we are hitting the hot time of the year. I just looked at the report for hot weather coming up, and I will tell you that hot weather is difficult for anybody to handle, but I was reading an interesting article in the Plows magazine that hot weather can mean double trouble for seniors. So I'm asking people to, if you know a senior or next door neighbor's a senior, to spend some time with them and make sure that you do some well-being check. Summer is one of the most common times for people to become dehydrated. Coupled with the fact that elderly are more susceptible to dehydration can mean double trouble for seniors. Dehydration is a condition that occurs when the body is losing more water than it's taking in. Seniors are at the highest risk. Those who not drink enough water or sweat frequently or severely. Dehydration also may be caused as a side effect of medications such as diuretics or laxatives, or medications containing or medical conditions such as vomiting, heat stroke, high blood pressure, or infections. The most common signs of dehydration in the elderly are thirst, dry mouth, headaches, dizziness, worsening upon standing, weakness, cramping in arms or legs, flushed face, fever, irritability, confusion, poor skin, muscle cramps, rapid and faint pulse, and low blood pressure. So I would ask if you could remember some of those things and watch out for our seniors so that they can have a nice summer too. And make sure you drink a lot of water. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Moving on to District 3, Trustee Streit.
Thank you, Madam President. I have a few items that I'd like to address. I guess, first of all, I'd like to say that thanks to our staff and the Special Events Commission for an outstanding job on the 4th of July parade, and also those involved with the fireworks. It might have been one of the best parades, certainly in terms of participation or residents being out there, the crowds, and the fireworks was one of the best that I think we've ever had. So great job by all. I also just want to mention now on this conflict of interest policy that's on the agenda tonight, I didn't see any information in the packet about it, so I wasn't certain what you might have to say about it, but I just want to add that it's probably, and I see on your report you also have conflict of interest policy, so I think it's probably important that when that policy is addressed, that we do take a look at things like, let's say, when there's going to be an appointment to the village, would somebody have to disclose that they received a campaign contribution, for instance? Or let's say, would somebody have to disclose that they received campaign volunteers to work on their behalf if that person was going to get a job? Or let's say maybe a campaign manager.
And would you prefer to discuss this when we're discussing the item, or is this new business?
Well, it's my new business report. I'm
Okay.
pointing out that there was nothing.
Okay, it is an agenda item, so,
Right, so it's fair to talk about. I can.
new business is new business.
Well, would this go before the, the ordinance committee? Is that what?
Well, we'll see when we discuss that agenda item.
Okay, so I'll have a chance to address it at that point?
Correct.
Okay, that's fine, I can wait. Okay, so then the last item that I have is another item that has been before us for a number of times on agendas, and it's on the agenda again tonight. So I want to clarify the issue regarding village pensions. First of all, I want to be very clear that I absolutely support pension reform. What I do not support are political gimmicks that may sound good, but actually do nothing. I think it's a well-established fact that the impact of the elected officials' pension payments on the village budget is very minimal. In fact, while our general fund budget is about $50 million, to fund all of the trustees' pensions costs less than $2,000 a year, which is 0.004% or
And
four
I'd like to remind you,
1,000.
this is new business today.
It is
This
new
is
business.
an old,
And
yeah.
you know what? And it is my new business report, and I want to make sure that my position, since when I do speak to an issue that's on the agenda, very often, just like now, you will interrupt me, you'll gavel me down, and I think the people have a right to hear my position.
Okay.
I'm going to take the opportunity to
Please
explain
keep
it.
your report
I-
to new business if you
This
could, like
is-
the agenda says.
This is on the agenda, and it's my new business report.
Okay.
The number one issue, the number one problem, I should say, facing municipalities in the state is the unfunded pension liability, which was the stated rationale for the resolution eliminating elected officials' pensions. But the truth is that the Illinois Municipal Retirement Fund is one of the best funded pensions in the state at 86%. When we talk about pension reform, we talk about lengthening the age for retirement, increasing contributions by participants, reducing or eliminating compounding of interest, reducing retiree health benefits, and increasing the percentage of funding as examples. What the board did here is not pension reform, it was pension elimination. The IRMF, as I said, is very well funded at 86%, but we do have pensions here in the village with some very certainly with funding issues. We have the police pension fund that is funded at 61% with $43.8 million in long-term pension, with long-term pension liability. We have the fire pension fund that is 62% funded with $42 million in long-term pension debt. The state of Illinois has also talked about pushing the state teacher pension funding back on the local taxpayers. That's been a big issue, which could raise property taxes for a typical resident by hundreds, if not even thousands of dollars. There's also the issue of the disparity between public pensions and private pensions, which is a very real issue, certainly for our residents. So these are very real and very serious issues that need to be that should be addressed. But instead, this board created an illusion. Instead of reform, we have pension elimination, which is the elimination of an entire class of participants, which I think should make everybody wonder what's next. Do we eliminate another entire class of pension participants? Will this board vote to contract out services and eliminate another class of participants? This is not surprisingly a Springfield solution, because it sounds good, but it solves nothing. And I say not surprisingly because its chief sponsor is a former state representative that was down in Springfield, who during his term in Springfield never proposed pension reform, where he actually could have done something that was meaningful. Although he did support the largest income tax increase in Illinois history, which was supposed to pay down the pension debt. That was one of the stated reasons for increasing the income tax. But of course, we all know now that it failed to solve that problem. But it did earn him the recognition of being the poster boy, the poster child for patronage abuse, because he was rewarded for his efforts by being appointed to a political job in Cook County making $100,000 a year. The last thing that Oak Lawn needs is Springfield politicians governing by press releases. We have to work together to solve real problems. What you've done here is pretend there is a problem and offer a solution that doesn't make our state pension system any more solvent than they were last year. Local government doesn't work like state government. The people in Oak Lawn demand results and not promises and slogans that don't solve the real problems facing our state pensions. And I would just conclude by saying, given that we do have real problems and you've addressed a problem that isn't real. Mayor, what are you doing about the real pension issues that are facing the people of Oak Lawn?
Thank you. I just, also just as a comment, Trustee Straight, when you do have questions, I have email, other people have email. We, in fact, have sent you emails which you don't acknowledge or respond to. So please don't imply there's lack of communication on our part. Thank you. And we're moving on now to District 4. Trustee Terry Vorderer.
Thank you, Madam President. Just a couple of things. One, I just want to comment on Bob's 4th of July. Congratulations. I know that many people had a wonderful 4th of July, and the village provided so many recreational opportunities for its residents, but all of those opportunities come at the expense of its employees who give up their time, okay, so that we, the residents, okay, can enjoy the 4th of July. Not only our employees, but Park District employees. And I went over to 95th in Nashville, and I saw many volunteers, just people volunteering their time for the village of Oak Lawn. And those people need to be thanked. And I thank them for the 4th District, I thank them for me, and I thank them for the village of Oak Lawn. One other thing, Madam President, I just would like to make a reminder that I will have my first community meeting July 11th, 7:30 at the Oak Lawn Parks Administration Office, 9400 South Kenton. I will have a representative of the hospital to do a PowerPoint, which we can educate our residents on what the facility will look like and their contributions to the Southwest Side as a major medical facility. And I would like to address one of Bob's comments. You know, I voted for eliminating the pension, but I didn't do it as a solution, okay, to the pension crisis that we all know exists in the state. I did it for the symbolism of us giving up our pension rights so that we can ask others, as we as legislators and as elected officials have to deal with this crisis. It's a lot easier to say, you have to give up something when I've given up something. And while it's little, and while it's not a lot of money, it still is an important symbol to the other people that are going to pay a price for the incompetency of many legislative leaders in Springfield who kind of messed up the whole pension system for many people. That's all I have to say, Madam President.
Moving on to District 5. Trustee Quinlan, please.
Thank you. I do have a couple of items. First of all, 4th of July parade and the fireworks, it was terrific. So thank you to the Park District, to Chad, to Dee, the special events. The special events committee puts in a lot of time. To Tim Desmond, who's not here, and Bob Stride, who started the whole process with it. To both of them, thank you for a wonderful day. The second item, about a week and a half ago, I met with the Senior Citizen Commission. Had been invited to attend. We talked about many things, but one of the number one issues was that they really wanted more involvement with the new permanent facility that we're going to have for the senior center. They specifically asked if there was going to be a committee to put together that was going to be put together to research it and to help facilitate it. I thought it was a very good idea. Right now, Southside Baptist is a temporary solution for about 2 years, but it will take time to find a new location. I've been very much in favor of building the new senior center in conjunction with Advocate, but I know that it has been removed from the table by this new board. And because of that, I am asking this board to begin the search process now, as we do have a large population of seniors. One of the main goals of the Senior Citizen Commission, of what they told me when I met with them, is that they really want to reach out to as many seniors in the community as possible and get them to join in with the activities that they offer. With this goal in mind, and given the number of seniors in Oak Lawn, we need to provide them with an outstanding facility. It's important that the new senior center meets their needs now and their future needs as well. It makes sense to form a search committee with the help of our village manager as soon as possible. I'd also very much like to head up that committee, or at least be a part of the search committee as well. Also, note to the other board members, when, at the end of the meeting, they expressed, they were very happy to see a trustee there, and that they are offering that every trustee make a point of trying to sit in one of their monthly meetings. And I think you were the one that they talked about next, at their next meeting to attend. So I'm not sure what the date of it is.
Last Thursday of the month usually
Is
is their
it?
box lunch.
Yeah. And my last item, again, in the name of transparency, is I would like to ask our village manager why on July 2nd that you had given Chad Weiler, our Director of Business Operations, a retirement and release waiver form, giving him 21 days to sign it when he is only 53 years old. Might I add that your deadline is 2 days before he is 100% vested. For close to 8 years, he has been praised for his work, especially with Fall in the Green, the 4th of July Parade, movie night, Sunday concerts, to name a few. He was born and raised in Oak Lawn. Why would our attorney,
This is
Paul
proper
O'Grady,
for
think
executive
this was
session, please.
a smart idea? And lastly, why did the board member, I have to find out as a board member by a third party?
Paul.
This is probably proper for executive session.
It is absolutely not. This is about transparency.
about-
If it was executive session, I asked for the agenda. It is not an executive session.
Well, it wasn't on the agenda tonight. It's not on the agenda.
This is new business, because I just found out about it. Being a board member, to find out one of our management team is at basically being asked to retire, I find offensive, and I would like to know why.
It was done in it was a confidential agreement, is my understanding.
I would
and
like to
that's
ask
I'm
why he
sure-
was given this. Because I'll tell you what I heard. I heard, 2 days after the election, our village manager pulled him in and said, "You're in a pickle, Chad, because you had a Heilman Moran sign. You should have cut out the Moran and put a Jane Quinlan sign on."
I don't know.
So this, to me, this is,
We're gonna
personnel
take-
issue that
this
was
is
not on the agenda
political
tonight.
retribution
I'm
at its
sure you
worst.
can ask
It is
Carol.
not okay that
Village
Jane
manager.
Quinlan's nose is in a snit
Carol, I don't
because
want to
he
have
had
to
the
Really,
stop
Carol?
this, but
Why
this
didn't
is
you
a
call me and talk to me about it?
confidential- Jane, please. This is
I know how you
a
feel. You told me how you
confidential
feel about
employee
Chad.
agreement.
It's
It
a
really
problem.
doesn't deserve discussion.
Oh, it
Out
does.
of respect to Chad,
It does,
feel.
because it could cost this village a lot of money.
Okay,
It absolutely could.
well,
Because
thank you.
once again, we're following,
I'm going to ask that
Phelan's,
we discuss
notorious hit
confidential
list. It's
employee
one more item
agreements
that we're checking right
in
off.
executive session, and I'm very sorry to have to tell you that, but
It's not on your executive session.
It's not on, but
Because you
it's,
weren't planning
on
on
the
telling
agenda.
us. You
It's-
weren't
it's
planning on telling us.
appropriate.
We're not having another meeting in
It's-
July.
it's appropriate,
So-
then you can call a special meeting with 2 trustees, I believe, is that correct?
You know what, Madam President, this is
so-
just goes to, your campaign, as you keep saying, was all about transparency. And it's so far from that.
Okay.
It is so far. So you have a select group on this board that is aware that you're trying to get rid of Chad because he did not have a
It's
Jane Quinlan sign.
inappropriate for you
It's not okay.
to
Or
assume
Sandra
anyone
Burry.
You
else
didn't
is
have a
doing-
Sandra Berry sign either, Carol.
You know
Oh,
what?
I know, but,
right.
but your name was the one that the village manager said
Okay,
you're
we're
in a
gonna-
pickle because it did
please
not
wrap
have
up your
Jane
report,
Quinlan.
and we're not
And I
gonna-
know how you felt about him.
Carol, please, recognize the chair. This is not appropriate for open meeting
It's
discussion.
absolutely appropriate.
And I'm going to move on now to District 6, please.
I am
Trustee
done with my report.
Trustee Carberry, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, I guess this is going to go on for some time. There's no stopping it. It's unfortunate, but some people like it, I know, but I don't. But I don't mind any criticisms I'm taking either as well. I can handle that. But I do want to let you know that the pension reform was important to me, and the pension elimination was important to me, and I want to tell you why. The elimination, so if I was, and I don't think everyone really understands this, if I was in the private sector, truck driver, ditch digger, and I was also a trustee in Oak Lawn making $2,000 a year for 25, 26 years, I can then go work in government for 4 years and get my pension based on those 4 years. That happens all over this state. and it's been happening for years. And it's not fair. It's an unfair pension liability. There's private pensions, Bob mentioned private pensions. The guys work hard every day. Every day. Union members work hard every day paying into a pension. They get paid when they work, and I'm a believer in them. But for a part-time politician, why in the world would you get an opportunity to get a 30-year pension based on a full-time salary when you never paid into it? So what happens is you're getting the money back your first year. The fund has already lost money. You've already taken out more than ever was put in. That's a fact. They count as full years of pension credit. I can't make that any clearer. I'm not going to address it again. It's okay, but I wanted you people to know that it wasn't for politics. It wasn't for show. And there is people in Oak Lawn that have taken advantage of this. It's the way it was. And you can. If you worked for 25, 30, 26 years as a trustee, you can then go work for 5 years and you get 31-year pension credit. It's happened.
Madam President?
So, go ahead, Bob. What do you?
Actually, Mike, I'd like you to finish
Hold
your
on,
report,
Mayor.
please.
What do you got?
Apologize for it.
No, you didn't. You know, I tell you what, you
Mike?
should apologize for. You say poster boy one more time. That's what you should
Okay.
apologize
Yeah,
for.
I don't think so. I think you.
Yeah, I do
Okay.
think.
I want to remind this
How can you go down to
board,
Springfield? Vote for-
trustee Strite, you will address the chair and be recognized, and I am wanting trustee Carberry to finish his report. We
Fine, thank you.
extended the same courtesy
Thank
to
you.
others on
Okay,
this board.
fair
Thank
enough.
you.
So I can with a straight face say that's why we did it, and I'm proud we did it, and that's hopefully that'll be the last comment you hear from me on it. But that's the truth of the pension reform, and it will save, and it will spread. People have already done it in the western suburbs. They'll continue to do it in the south suburbs, I promise you, and it will save the state and pension funds a great deal of money.
Trustee Strite.
Thank you, Madam President. I mean, I guess actually, the thing that I find incredulous is that you can actually go down to Springfield for 8 months and vote for the largest tax increase.
Okay, I'm going to gavel this personal attack down,
but it's a
and we're
fair-
going to
it's a
move on
fair
to general
point.
village
If you're gonna let
matters.
him say it, Mayor, let him say it. Go ahead.
Thank you.
You know,
It-
I don't want him to say it, and he said
it's
it
a fair
before, and
point. I
he'll.
think
Well, he doesn't. He
when we're
doesn't.
talking
wanna-
about-
Manager
All
Deachem,
your
would you
benefits
please give your
are-
report? We're moving on to agenda
are
item
fair
8.
for the debate.
There is no
President,
motion
I have
pending.
nothing more to add. Thank you, trustee Olenichek, for a thorough report regarding ComEd. Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 9 is a request to approve a rug and art tent sale by Rugs To Go LLC in the Kmart parking lot at 4101 West 95th Street from July 19th, 2013 through September 15th, 2013. This is in District 4. May I have a motion, please, on item 9?
Madam President, I'll make the motion.
Okay, properly moved by trustee Vorder.
Second.
Seconded, I'm sorry, who was that, please?
Trustee Olenichek.
Trustee Olenichek, okay. Any discussion?
Yes, Madam President.
Yes,
I'd like to
trustee
just,
Warder.
I was a little concerned when I saw this on the agenda that it's a 2-month tent. I recall them last year, okay, and they were there 1 month. 2 months seems like a long time. But I did do some research, and it was profitable for them and profitable for the village. There were no incidents, no problems, no complaints. So with reservations, I'm going to vote to give them 2 months, but next year I might reconsider that.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Please take the roll.
Trustee Carberry?
Yes.
Trustee Vorder?
Yes.
Trustee Strite?
Yes.
Trustee Quinlan?
Yes.
Trustee Olenichek?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, moving on. Item number 10 is a request to approve a hold harmless agreement for a fence encroachment at 9843 South Tully Avenue. This is in District 3.
Motion to approve?
Properly moved by trustee Strite,
Second?
seconded by trustee Quinlan. Any discussion? Clerk Quinlan, please take the roll.
Trustee Carberry?
Yes.
Trustee Vorder?
Yes.
Trustee Streit?
Yes.
Trustee Quinlan?
Yes.
Trustee Oliniechek?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Moving on to item 11, it's a request to approve the Planning and Development Commission referral for a rear yard variation for a new residence at 8758 South Natoma Avenue. This was a 7-0 vote to approve, petition number 2013-21. The petitioner is Vincent Keene, Campus Construction in District 1, and item 12 is an ordinance granting that setback.
Motion approved.
Properly moved by trustee Oliniechek.
Second.
Seconded by trustee Carberry. Any discussion?
Yes.
Trustee Streit.
Yeah, Madam President, I did, reading the minutes of the planning and, the Plan Commission, there was a couple of questions that were raised about the drainage, and I just wanted to make certain that staff has looked at the drainage issues and that those will be adequately addressed in this, with this approval.
Oh,
Thank you. Thank you.
okay. Thank you. Any other discussion? Please take the roll.
Trustee Carberry?
Yes.
Trustee Vorder?
Yes.
Trustee Streit?
Yes.
Trustee Quinlan?
Yes.
Trustee Oliniechek?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Item number 13 is a request to approve the Planning and Development Commission referral for a variation from Ordinance 11-18-42 regarding flat work and impervious surfaces at 10308 South Tripp Avenue. This was a 7-0 vote to approve petition 2013-22, Terrence and Aaron Byrne, petitioners in District 6. And item 14 is an ordinance granting that variance. May I have a motion, please, on items 13 and 14?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Properly moved by trustee Carberry, seconded by trustee Oliniechek. Any discussion?
Right.
Please take the roll.
Trustee Carberry?
Yes.
Trustee Vorder?
Yes.
Trustee Streit?
Yes.
Trustee Quinlan?
Yes.
Trustee Oliniechek?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Wonderful, thank you. Item number 15 is a request to approve the Planning and Development Commission referral to rezone from R1, which is single family, to C2, which is general service business, zone district at 9515 South McVicker Avenue. This was a 7-0 vote to approve, petition number 2013-23, DK Retail Development, petitioner in District 3, pardon me. And item 16 is an ordinance granting that rezoning. May I have a motion, please, on items 15 and 16?
Madam President, I would, willing to make that motion, but I'm going to want to have an amendment to it, and,
Okay, let's make the motion, and then we'll do that in discussion, please. Properly moved by trustee Streit,
I'll second.
seconded by trustee Vorder. Okay, trustee Streit?
thank you, Madam President. And I think, first of all, I think we're all very delighted when we see interest in our community, redevelopment in the community, and it's certainly a benefit to most of us. And I think, but one of the things in this particular development we're going to see is there's a rezoning in this particular case from a single-family home to commercial. And whenever that happens, I think we have to take that very seriously and make sure that the impact of that development is going to not just be a benefit to us as a village, but also to the residents who live in the neighborhood. And there is a way to simply, I think, address this issue. There's going to be, we have a bank that's going to be taken down, and then there will be a new Walgreens built, and then a smaller bank on that site. And of course, that's where right now cars are parked from a local dealership, so there should be an appearance improvement. But there's also that street, McVicker, that this borders on the west side, is the last street that goes through from Southwest Highway to 95th Street before you get to the corner of 95th and Southwest Highway. So the point being, it's kind of a cut-through street. There is a park, there's a tot lot on that street, and what I would ask is that in order for it to be it should be a win-win for the people too, there should be some type of traffic modification on that street. I'm not going to suggest what the traffic modification should be. It could be some sort of a cul-de-sac with a one-way egress or ingress, or maybe some other traffic calming modification. But I would ask that that modification, that this be approved subject to that modification being made at the expense of the developer.
Do we have a representative from DK Retail Development here this evening?
Yes.
Okay, please come to the podium and state your name.
Hi, Dave Augusto with DK Retail.
Thank you. Okay, and did you have any comments on the proposed amendment to?
No, we would be more than happy to pay for it, whatever the village decides to do. We understand, and we want to be, good neighbors, so we would have no problems. Assuming that the village wants it, we'll take care of it.
Thank you.
Trustee Straight, does that satisfy your
Yes, it does.
concern?
Thank
And is there any other discussion regarding this?
6 items.
Correct. I do them individually, just.
Right, as long as he's up.
Yeah, okay. So stay up there because we have a few more coming. But I'm going to take the roll, please, on this as amended by Trustee Straight.
Trustee Carberry?
Yes.
Trustee Vorder?
Yes.
Trustee Streit?
Yes?
Trustee Quinlan?
Yes.
Trustee Oliniechek?
Yes.
Trustee Desmond? Oh, sorry. Please. Motion passes 5-0.
Okay, moving on. Item number 17 is a request to approve the Planning and Development Commission referrals for a 20-foot wide east-west alley south of 95th Street, east of McVicker, for a distance of 141.12 feet, and a 20-foot wide north-south alley south of 95th, east of McVicker, for an approximate length of 210 feet south. This was a 6-to-1 vote to approve petition number 2013-24, DK Retail Development Petitioner in District 3. And then we also have item 18, which is an ordinance granting that vacation. May I have a motion, please, on items 17 and 18?
Madam President, I would also be willing to make that motion subject to.
Okay, so we have properly moved motion by Trustee Streit,
Second.
seconded by Trustee Quinlan and Trustee Streit.
Thank you, Madam President. Anytime we're going to convert public lands to private use, I think that there should be an appraisal, and the petitioner should pay the market value for that property. So I'd just like that included in the motion. An appraisal and the petitioner pick up the
Okay,
market
any
value.
other discussion on that? Okay, and, sir?
Yeah.
And please state
Yes,
your name.
my name is David Shaw. I'm the attorney for the petitioner. We've discussed the alley vacation. The problem in this instance is that we are not, obviously not the only owners that are affected. So to the extent that you would like to obtain an appraisal and basically have the petitioner pay for whatever portion of that alley, which would be approximately 10 feet, whatever the distance is, we would probably have no objection to doing that. But it's a little more complex than just, it's not as if we are vacating everything.
Mayor, if I could. Mayor and Board of Trustees, Trustee Streit is correct. That has been a longstanding policy, and from my experience, it's a policy, any municipality that I've served, we've had that policy. We've recently done that for Hooters, and it will be appraised based upon that vacation and the use. I wouldn't be overly concerned about it. It's public property. It's fairly standard operating practice, and you'll be charged for the bill of the appraisal. Usually that's anywhere from $750 to $2,000, in that range, and the value of that will be based upon the footage, 10 feet vacation, that you would accrue the benefit, and I certainly would support. That's been our policy.
Okay. And any questions or comments? Is that,
No,
okay.
we're good, thank you.
And Trustee Streit, did they address your concern to your satisfaction?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Is there any other discussion regarding items 17 and 18?
Madam President.
Trustee
just
Vorder.
a point of clarification, the ordinance calls for a 20-feet vacation. I assume that's the alley. 10 feet will go to the bank and 10 feet will be given to the residents along there?
Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay,
Okay.
okay. Very good.
That's all.
Any other discussion on these items? Okay, so we're going to call the roll, please, on items 17 and 18 as amended, please.
Trustee Carberry?
Yes.
Trustee Vorder?
Yes.
Trustee Streit?
Yes.
Trustee Quinlan?
Yes.
Trustee Oliniechek?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Item number 19 is a request to approve the Planning and Development Commission referral for a front, rear, and side yard setback variation at 6001 and 6021 West 95th. This was a 7-0 vote to approve. Petition number 2013-25, DK Retail Development, petitioner in District 3. And item 20 is an ordinance granting that setback. May I have a motion, please, on items 19 and 20?
So moved.
Properly moved by Trustee Streit,
Second.
seconded by Trustee Quinlan. Any discussion? Clerk Quinlan, please take the roll.
Okay. Trustee Carberry?
Yes.
Trustee Vorder?
Yes.
Trustee Streit?
Yes.
Trustee Quinlan?
Yes.
Trustee Oliniechek?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you guys.
Thank you.
Item number 21 is a request to approve an ordinance authorizing the issuance of a $1,600,000 Waterworks and Sewage Fund revenue note of the Village of Oak Lawn, Cook County, Illinois, to Standard Bank and Trust Company. May I have a motion, please, on item 21?
Motion approved.
Properly moved by Trustee Quinlan,
I'll second.
seconded by Trustee Vorder. Any discussion on item 21?
President, if I could just give a little backdrop, I've got a couple excellent questions that I received earlier today, and I thought for the benefit of everyone, particularly any new members, the village board is presented a budget in the fall of 2012 and then adopts a budget, and we have historically chosen to fund capital assets through lease purchasing and debt, because the value of the equipment and improvements to assets has longer length than 1 year, and you spread your cost out. In this particular case, the rate that we would be receiving from Standard Bank and Trust is a very aggressive rate. It's 2.875. That is extremely low. As you know, you've been watching the news articles about the market and potential volatility in that market. Those rates are extremely attractive. I was also asked the question, why Standard? We actually use Fifth Third at 111th and Cicero. There were 4 or 5 banks we went to get the funding for land acquisition of that new development, and Fifth Third was the most aggressive on that account. There were 2 other banks that were fairly attractive, Wintrust and also Standard, but it was too big of an issue for Standard, and they kind of yielded to the better rates from Fifth Third, and Wintrust would have been more aggressive, but they wanted what's called ancillary business. When you're going to bid on these type of projects, they're really not a large-scale project, and they like to be able to get ancillary business such as making deposits. Standard Bank is our depository for our general funds and assets. They have been for some time prior to my arrival. My opinion is they've provided excellent service, as has the other banks in the community. The Chase, the Bank of America, Archer Bank, PNC, those banks do not tend to aggressively pursue that type of work that the Village of Oak Lawn bids out. We do contact them through Brian, but they haven't been a player in recent history. Now, what are you going to be getting with this purchase? What you're going to getting is what the budget adopted by the last board in December approved. Annually, police vehicles. We upgrade our fleet on a regular basis, not every vehicle. We try to replace 7 vehicles a year. That keeps the mileage down, allows for trade-ins to get a fairly good price, and also allows us to filter some of our police vehicles that are in good shape down to inspection divisions. Some of our inspection vehicles have got a little long on the tooth, and it makes more sense so there's less time in the shop, less equipment maintenance. Extensive improvements at our fire department. We have a need to upgrade station number 1 at Costner and 103rd. We'll be putting in about $350,000 is the estimate. Now, when we do that, we still have to come back to you. You'll have another chance of this. We submit the bids to you. As the year goes on, you've already approved some bids. A battalion vehicle replacement, fire department, that was approved earlier in the year, I believe, January or February. We're going to be replacing the bunker gear and for our Oak Lawn Fire Department. That's about $325,000 to replace the bunker gear, a street sweeper, a front-end loader, a machine that allows us to get to backyards and clean sewers out. An older developed community like Oak Lawn has some public sanitary sewers in the rear yard lot line. Very, very difficult to get to. So if there's a blockage or a collapse of the sewer pipe, getting a piece of equipment in there takes specialized equipment. So that's included. It's a sewer jetting equipment. You've seen the larger ones we use on the street, fairly large and expensive piece of equipment. And all this is regular replacement street lighting. We're in our, I believe, our fourth or fifth year of replacing all our upgrading, retrofitting our residential street lighting with LED lights. We've shown in the first years of replacement about a 65% reduction in energy consumption by changing those lights out to LED in the residential neighborhood. We have about, 3,000 lights to replace, and we're in our last few years. That's $180,000 a year. So cumulatively, and you see there's two issues here, because anything that we can fund through the sewer and water fund versus your general fund is a good practice, and that basically preserves money in your general fund, which uses property taxes, where your sewer and water fund is funded through your rates and consumption of water and sewer usage in the community. Roofing. We had an issue at our Public Works facility with roofing. We've had an issue with the flat roof here at Village Hall. We've made some repairs, but quite frankly, the situation here is very, it's important to maintain the integrity of the roof. It's not what you see, it's underneath, where you see the deterioration of the grid and the rusting away because of the water. Also, we have a need to do further work, again, at Station 1. So it's interior work, and it's also the HVA system. It's important for the employees, our fire and rescue in that house, as far as their own health. It's a sleeping facility, as you know, their room, and that system needs to be upgraded for the quality of air that they breathe in that building. Thank you, President.
Thank you. Any other discussion on item 21? Clerk Quinlan, please take the roll.
Okay. Trustee Carberry?
Yes.
Trustee Vorder?
Yes.
Trustee Streit?
Yes.
Trustee Quinlan?
Yes.
Trustee Oliniechek?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item 22 is a request to approve an ordinance authorizing the issuance of a $2,500,000 general obligation note of the Village of Oak Lawn, Cook County, Illinois, to Standard Bank and Trust Company. May I have a motion, please, on item, I'm sorry, am I, 22? 22, I'm sorry.
Motion approved.
Thank you. Properly moved by Trustee Quinlan,
A second.
seconded by Trustee Vorder. Any discussion? Okay, please call the
I'll
roll.
take it. Trustee Carberry?
Yes.
Trustee Vorder?
Yes.
Trustee Streit?
Yes.
Trustee Quinlan?
Yes.
Trustee Oliniechek?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Moving on, item number 23, we have a resolution, number 13-13-34, a resolution of the Village of Oak Lawn, Cook County, Illinois, approving a bond record-keeping and compliance policy. May I have a
President, if I
motion?
could, please just comment on that briefly again.
Okay.
And I forgot to mention, in the two resolutions, the ordinances that you approved on the bond issues, there is a conflict of interest provision in both of those, so it patterns what the policy is that you as a board have expressed to have in place. And this is a similar recommended resolution. It allows us, if you have this policy in place regarding record keeping and compliance, it also assures us of getting these lower interest rates. And so that was recommended also by council to have you approve that, put it in place. the bank recognizes that, and that helps drive your interest rate down.
Okay, so we need a motion on item 23.
I move.
Properly moved by trustee Vorderer,
Second.
seconded by trustee Quinlan. Any further discussion on item 23? Okay, please take the roll.
Trustee Carberry?
Yes.
Trustee Vorder?
Yes.
Trustee Streit?
Yes.
Trustee Quinlan?
Yes.
Trustee Alanichik?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 24 is a resolution authorizing, it's number 1313-35, authorizing the release of certain executive session minutes. May I have a motion, please, on item 24?
I'll make that motion.
Properly moved by trustee Vorder,
Second.
seconded by trustee Quinlan. Any discussion? Please take the roll.
Trustee Carberry?
Yes.
Trustee Vorder?
Yes.
Trustee Streit?
Yes.
Trustee Quinlan?
Yes.
Trustee Alanichik?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Item number 25 is a motion to approve, after the Board of Trustees in executive session on June 25th, 2013, reviewed for the release of closed meeting minutes from November 9th, 2004 through December 11th, 2012. The need for confidentiality still exists, however, for the closed meeting minutes of April 10th, 2008 and June 14th, 2010, and closed meeting minutes of 2011 and 2012. May I have a motion, please, on item 25?
Motion approved.
Properly moved by trustee Quinlan.
I'll second.
Seconded by trustee Vorderer. Any discussion? Please take the roll.
Trustee Carberry?
Yes.
Trustee Vorder?
Yes.
Trustee Streit?
Yes.
Trustee Quinlan?
Yes.
Trustee Alanichik?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, item number 26 is a discussion by trustees Streit and Quinlan regarding Robert's Rules of Order and Board Decorum.
Madam Mayor, may I just make a note? There was
Trustee
nothing in my
Oliniechek?
packet regarding any of the information, as was requested by both of these trustees that we do.
Okay.
We're just,
Any other discussion?
Madam
yes.
President,
Trustee Quinlan, you were first.
To answer trustee Olnichek, unfortunately, this had to be on because we weren't allowed to address it at the last board meeting. And so really, it's an opportunity for us to voice our opinion on this. My first point is that I would like to ask our attorney, Paul O'Grady, to give us his legal opinion that if a board member asks to speak on something, can it be denied by the president or ignored? Also, during a debate, can the president cut off a member while they are speaking?
Well, I don't know if your first question is a complete hypothetical, but as far as debate, as far as I understand your question, if there is a motion pending and debate is going on, the chair should recognize trustees, right?
Okay.
If there's a motion pending. Now, if it's just discussion and there's no motion pending, there is no debate. So the chair does not need to recognize.
Okay, because, there's a number of things, looking at my trustee Robert's rules.
Okay.
There's a number of things. Customs of formality that are followed by the presiding officer and members under Parliament procedure serve to maintain the chair's necessary
What page
position.
are you reading from, please?
And by the way, I don't have my book with me,
21.
so you have to indulge me.
21, no problem.
I didn't know this was
I'm-
going to be.
this is-
I didn't know
I'm
there was
also-
I didn't know there was going to be a quiz on this later. But
No,
go ahead.
there's not, and that's why I wasn't asking you for that. You didn't need to give the opinion right now, but I would like
Okay.
that.
Well, if you could put me in writing to me.
Okay. Customs of formality that are followed by presiding officer and members under Parliament procedure serve to maintain the chair's necessary position of impartiality and help to preserve an objective and impersonal approach, especially when serious divisions of opinion arise. The other item that I would like to point out would be on page 42. It says, although the presiding officer should give close attention to each speaker's remarks during debate, he cannot interrupt a person who has the floor. It also goes on to say the presiding officer must never interrupt a speaker simply because he knows more about the matter than the speaker does. The presiding officer cannot close debate so long as any member who has not exhausted his right to debate desires the floor.
Right, and we put a memo out on that last year where we said it was like 10 minutes approximately with 2 times on the subject.
What concerns me is that, you know, some minutes that we had approved, the June 11th board meeting minutes.
I don't have that in front of me
That
either.
I have a copy, but this is what concerns me. Number one is trustee Quinlan asked for a call to order to the people in the audience that are speaking out. She asked Village President Burry to address them. Village President Burry asked to call the roll. So my request was denied. And then
The people stopped talking, Carol.
I'm not following.
They
no,
did not require.
I asked you, as my job
and-
was to
and
address you.
when you did, they
But
stopped?
Can I finish
Yes.
this?
Yes.
My speech, thank you.
I look forward to it.
The other part, and I'm reading this directly from the minutes, is trustee Strite stated that another trustee, and I apologize, I'm just reading this. This is not talking about, let me just read it. Trustee Strite stated that another trustee has, on multiple occasions, recommended that the health benefits be eliminated for elected officials. After that trustee lost his job earlier this year, he enrolled in the health insurance plan. Sorry, that's for Alex. But Village President Burry stated that this was a personal attack and asked for the roll call to be called. Trustee Olenichik asked that Trustee Strike continue on because it is very good that somebody would be as low life as this man next to me. Let the curmudgeon speak. Trustee Carberry said, I concur. President Burry stated that there was a full agenda and asked for the roll call. So you call out one trustee, yet someone is being called a low life and a curmudgeon, and there's no recognition that he was out of order. And so there's a double standard, which I have a real issue with.
Okay.
And that needs to be addressed. I definitely being a board minority or having a difference of opinion, that we should be able to be recognized.
Thank you. Is that your complete comment?
Well,
While she's looking
Yes.
that over, trustee Straight, I assume you have a few pages to read yourself?
Thank you, Madam President.
you.
And at the last meeting on June 25th, as we know, trustee Quinlan had placed this item, board decorum, on the agenda because she wanted to address it, based on some of the things that have occurred at previous meetings. And, which I think, she was entitled to address it. And I think actually, it kind of, I think one of the things that happens, like earlier tonight, for instance, when trustee Quinlan was speaking under new business, you repeatedly interrupted her. And I think, nobody has a right to stop a trustee from addressing the board in open session.
You are incorrect.
Well-
I have an obligation
Well,
and a
you're
duty to
stopping
this
me.
board.
Okay, so just
Okay.
like this. I mean, it's a tactic.
Okay.
I think it's a poor
I'll
one.
let you
but
talk,
You can
but-
keep doing it.
Okay.
I can put out another memo and update the memo on
suspect
this
that
if
you will,
that's,
but,
if that's the issue.
I like, and for instance, she was told that this is an executive session issue. There's no requirement that the board go into executive session. And I think it's the board, the reason the board wants to go in executive session is they don't want you to hear what, trustee Quinlan is talking about. And I think that's, I think if we could get past that point, I understand, that there's a lot of things that are occurring that, you don't want the public to hear. But I think, quite frankly, the public does have a right to hear them, especially, trustee Quinlan and I, who you, again, repeatedly interrupt, repeatedly gavel. And as trustee Quinlan pointed out, you don't do that to your fellow party mates.
Yes, I do.
No,
I
you
did it
do-
with
you do
trustee
not.
Carberry.
You absolutely do
Just
not,
now.
and it's very
I did.
clear. So, I think what we're asking for, just a very simple matter, is fairness. If there was fairness, I think that these meetings would go much more smoothly. And I would like to say a lot about it. I don't really want to come here and get in some kind of a contentious debate with anybody. But when you take the actions that you take. When I asked to address board decorum at the last meeting, you called the meeting, you called for an adjournment. And I'm asking you, just as a, if you said, I want to run these meetings professionally. You made a couple of statements that were pretty good, but quite frankly, you made a couple that weren't too good. And I think that's really the way that you want to govern is, you want your point of view out there. You don't want to hear my point of view. And realistically, if you stop and think about it, you have the votes. So really, what's the harm in letting Trustee Quinlan and I make our points? In the end, you're going to get to do what you want to do. But all we're saying is, let us make our point. We have a right to address these issues as much as anybody else does. And if I would say that if you allow that, there's a lot of things I don't want to hear. There's a lot of things I don't want to read, or a lot of things I don't want to hear when, whether it be a board member or a resident. But I have to listen to it. I have to hear what they have to say. And I think all we're just simply saying is that if you will treat us the same way that you treat everyone else, I think that the meetings are going to go much better.
I respectfully, Trustee Stride, I think my actions are driven by your actions and your comments, frankly. I want to backtrack a little and go and talk about the executive session. And when we have a confidential document related to an employee, I do not feel it's appropriate without that person being involved and giving their consent for this to be aired in a public forum. I think you would not want that. It is putting us, Trustee Quinlan, you talked about opening us up for a lawsuit. I think that's a very good way to do it, is to have so little regard.
I did get his approval.
I don't see him here giving that. So if you have a document in writing, I'll be happy to discuss it all day. But without that, I don't feel comfortable doing that, and it protects the village. And once this issue is settled with this employee, I have no problem with that being public whatsoever. I want to go on and talk about the Roberts rules a little bit. You talk about selective enforcement. Confining remarks to the merits of the pending question, you've been gavelled down for that. That is in here. I am duty-bound to follow these guidelines. Refraining from attacking members' motives, I've gavelled you down for that.
What page are we
Addressing
on?
all
I'm sorry.
remarks through the chair. I'm at the
What page?
subsection decorum and debate on page 379. Addressing all remarks through the chair. When this is not done, I will gavel you down. That is on page 380, items 15 to 25. Avoiding the use of members' names. When you do that, I will gavel you down. This is not selective to one party, one preference, one opinion, or another. This is your actions triggering my actions, and I want to set that record straight. Refraining from speaking adversely on a prior action not pending. When you do that, I gavel you down. That is item on page 381, item 1 through 5. Let me see. It goes on and on. Refraining from disturbing the assembly. I mean, these are rules I'm following. It's inappropriate for you to say, well, page 40 applies, but not page 380. And this is my little Bible. I do my best to have decorum. I will not have these meetings descend into the circus they have been. When people show up with popcorn, shame on us. We're not going to have it. And is there any other discussion?
It starts at the top. It does.
Any other discussion?
Well, and I think, first of all, I think this is the kind of debate that we should have. This is actually, I think.
This is
a
frankly
healthy debate.
high school debate, and
Well-
we have village business to move on.
Well, and you know what, I would much prefer that we deal with village business, but, you're selectively saying, well, these are rules that I enforce. I don't think there's any doubt, we've witnessed time and time again, very recently, there was a disruption out in the audience. Trustee Quinlan called upon you twice to call the people to order that were disrupting the meeting, and a local paper characterized it very, very well for that she was
Trustee
rewarded.
Quinlan, will you please be quiet? You see how much sense it makes when someone's not talking for you to address them. It's when the person stops talking, you stop the action.
Well,
So,
and you just violated another rule.
I
You
did.
can't just interrupt somebody that has the floor, and that's what, and
I can. We just heard the village attorney say there is no vote being taken, there is no motion pending, and I have the privilege of sitting in this chair and controlling order, so.
Well, fairness would be.
We're trying to be transparent, Trustee Stride.
You're not supposed to
Please.
address through the chair, though.
Oh.
But if I
Aren't we
gavelled her
supposed to
down,
be
I'd be selected.
Aren't we supposed to be?
That is the goal. That is the goal.
Right,
So
okay.
have we beat this horse into the ground sufficiently? Shall we move on?
Yes.
Okay, moving on. Item 27 is towing fees, municipal adjudication, requested by Trustee Straight and Quinlan.
Thank you, Madam President. If I
And
could,
Trustee Straight.
If I could go, lead off with this issue. At the last meeting, I criticized the board's action to remove two professional attorneys who served as adjudicators for the Village of Oak Lawn. What I said, very specifically, is that based on Judge Pecco's research and recommendation, we raised our towing fee in 2012. In January of 2012, we raised it from $250 to $500, which actually was, I said it would generate an additional $100,000 a year. And actually, in looking through the village records, it actually generated a significantly more than $100,000 in the year 2012. And without disagreeing at that last meeting, or calling me thereafter, the village manager attacked me in correspondence to the entire board in the trustee information letter. In the June 28th edition, Mr. Deachin wrote that the information crediting Mr. Pecco with the towing fee increase is false, and he referenced the franchise agreement adopted in 2007. By the way, the franchise agreement has nothing to do with the previous board's decision to increase the towing fees on cars. Now, and as you indicated earlier, Mayor Barry, you said that I don't respond to your emails, and this is one that I'm responding to. Mayor Barry subsequently asked me for written evidence of my statement, which I have provided. I have packets here for everybody on the board and everybody else who would like one, detailing every single statement that I made and providing backup documentation. I said I was referencing the ordinance that we passed in January of 2012. This recommendation was made by Judge Pecco, and it was adopted by the village board. And I was just simply giving Mr. Pecco credit for a good idea. I also have a copy of that ordinance here, and I have an affidavit from Judge Pecco attesting to the fact. Also, I have the revenue figures from the last few years as evidence of the increase in funds that the village has received as a result of Judge Pecco's recommendations. I also said that the previous board rightly established the municipal adjudication process, and as a result, the village has generated hundreds of thousands of dollars in revenue from adjudication, which means that we don't have to increase taxes by that amount. In my statement to the board, I said that we all know that the Phelan hit list said to fire Miller and Pecco. I'm just...
Robert's rules says refrain from speaking adversely on a prior action not pending. If you keep your words positive, I will let you continue to speak.
Thank you.
If you use this as a means
okay,
to
well-
attack, I will gavel you down.
I'll give you the positive side, but we
Thank
didn't
you.
hear that Kevin Cunningham was getting their jobs as a reward for bringing 10 people out to work for the campaign. In the trustee information letter, the manager states that he did not...
Okay, this is a prior action.
You know what,
and,
I got to tell you something, and I think this is what the problem is, all right?
What is
I made statements at the board table. Not only did the manager accuse me of putting out false information. You asked me to prove it, okay?
I did.
Now, I want to prove
And
it.
so we have
all right?
that. Thank you.
It's smearing my name, okay, which I understand why that you want to do that, but it's just simply.
I'm just requesting you keep your message positive
I'll
and
keep it
refrain
as-
from
well,
speaking
I'll-
adversely on a prior action
I'll
not
keep it as
pending.
positive as I can.
You can give your
okay?
evidence, but you do not need
Thank you.
to
Okay.
speak adversely.
Okay, well, in the trustee information letter, the manager stated that he did not direct the adjudicators' resignations to be submitted. Now, I have an affidavit here from both Judge Miller and Judge Pecco indicating that they were told that they were going to be replaced. Now, Mr. Deachin's attempt to blame Russ Miller for leaving him with little time to make a move is ridiculous.
Bob, are you asking for a motion to reconsider or rescind? I don't,
Well,
this
you
was a
know what?
prior action of the
Yeah.
board, so that's the issue.
And you know what, I'll tell you what, you also, and I'm going to get to your next legal opinion, but
Thank you.
I think you don't really, I think this is the issue. Why don't you let me simply say what I have to say? What is so hard to have to hear?
We went over this. There's nothing to me.
You know what? We didn't go over the trustee information letter smearing me, okay? And I think, you know what, and I'll tell you what, not everybody knows that what the manager said wasn't true. I have a right to correct the record, and I want to do that. I think it's only fair that you allow me to correct the record, okay? I have documents
May I
here.
see those documents, please?
You absolutely may,
Thank you.
yes.
Madam Mayor, when I am able to talk, please let me know.
Yes.
Can I address the issue?
Yeah, sure, please do that. I will. Okay.
Madam Mayor,
I still have the floor, please. That's, again, let's please follow the rules. I certainly want to hear what he has to say, but I think you should allow me to
Well,
to
please,
conclude.
again, follow Robert's
I
rules
know,
and continue.
Hurry up, finish up, don't,
No, please
rushing
follow
through it.
Robert's rules.
Try,
You can
let's
have all the
interrupt.
time
We
you
don't let him
want.
say, let's try to, okay, so, now, when I met with you, Mayor Barry, before the first meeting of this board, I offered to work together on positive issues to improve the village. And you told me, though, there's a few things we have to do first. And I know, I can see what you're doing, I understand, but so we're starting to see those things. We're seeing these people that are put in these positions and are being rewarded with raises, and people are being fired that didn't support the campaign. So in an attempt to smear my reputation, Mr. Deachin went as far as to direct that a report be generated to contradict the statement that I made about the revenue generated from the municipal adjudication program. Mr. Deachin's biased report left off the first year of the program and also failed to include the total fines levied, which are $398,158 since its inception. As I said, I have the municipal adjudication report here to back up my assertion, $398,000 in fines. Now, for the record, fines are budgeted as revenues. While $398,000 in fines were levied, $155,000 have actually been collected from the years 2011, 2012, and 2013 to date. Also, I want to state, in the past, I have spoken with the manager regarding this issue. To be clear, collection of fines is the responsibility of the manager, not the adjudicators. I'd also like to point out that Trustee Vorder at that meeting made a statement that this program is not new and was not recommended by the previous board. That is, in fact, incorrect. The municipal adjudication program was started in 2010. Mr. Vorder was referring to the housing adjudication program. He also stated that the legal consolidation will save $24,000 a year. That also is incorrect. That would assume that just because we're firing two people who make $12,000 a year doesn't mean we're going to save $24,000. So firing these two people is insulting to the people of Oak Lawn, considering the high level of performance that we received from them. These two judges were fired for one reason only, and we all know what that reason is, and I'm sure I'll be gabbled down if I say it, so I won't. You all know what that reason is. I know you don't want to hear it. I understand that, and I'm sure you don't want the public to hear it either. But I can't stand by while this board or the administration smear me with falsehoods in an attempt to cover up their own political hirings and firings. We do have more important things to do. I absolutely agree. And I'd like to see us get on with them. But you are the one, you said you follow my lead. Well, you're the mayor. I follow your lead. So when you go ahead and do these political hirings and firings, if you think I'm going to sit quietly and not say anything, you're wrong. If you stop and we work together, then, you know, I'll be right in, and I told you that. I'd like to work closely together. So, you know, when are we going to develop a plan for the Beatty development property? When is Southwest Highway going to be redeveloped? When will safety and not politics become important to this administration? I know that this board is new to government, but it is not ethical to hire and fire people based on politics. It's not ethical for the manager to smear, to twist the facts in an effort to smear a trustee. If you take those actions, I will be here each and every time to fight for transparency in our government and honesty in our debate. Thank you.
Thank you. We have Trustee Olenichek next, please.
Madam Mayor, first of all, I do appreciate that the trustees are willing to provide us with information so we could be prepared prior to a meeting. I know that there are well-prepared scripts that I get to see behind here that are putting together the information that individuals want to come out to the camera for, but I think the residents want us to get down to village business. In transparency, I will give a certain trustee kudos because he interprets transparency in what he thinks is supposed to be transparency. Never did he mention in his transparency one of the lawyers that he's talking to is in the top 3 contributors, contributing thousands of dollars to his campaign. And one of the other lawyers that he is talking about also is a contributor to his campaign, and I can tell you from personal experience, I have made mistakes in the past. I worked on his campaign, and I can tell you that I saw these people working on his campaign. So I don't understand the point that a trustee is trying to make when he's talking about transparency when he feels it's transparent. But the facts remain. All you have to do, go in the state of Illinois, you can see the $40,000+ of contributions that a trustee in the little old village of Oak Lawn needs to have. And it's really remarkable of a read of the people that are contributing to the political fund of certain trustees. I again come back to, you requested and you asked that if we have something to be brought before the board, that we give you the documentation and the information. And again, it looks to me, and I'm just a novice, I'm nowhere near the political crony that you are, that you are trying to play for the cameras to get your point across instead of trying to do village business and put out that gesture of a warm handshake to work with us, to make sure that this board meeting goes smoothly, and if there's questions prior to a board meeting, call the mayor, call another trustee. I, in fact, have put out the olive branch to you asking you for any and all notes for Public Works. Still to this day have not received anything about information and notes from Public Works. So Bob, or a trustee that is sitting next to me on my left, is trying to tell me that it's about transparency and working with people when he, in his own actions, is very selective based off of the facts. This is all transparent, public information, and I ask you, and you can ask the people that he had mentioned if they worked on his campaign, and they will tell you, quite honestly, yes, they did work on his campaign. So at this point now, you're going to try to put fault on something when in the past, the very same practice happened and you had absolutely no fault with it. I do find that a little bit amazing, and I do find that a little bit hypocritical. And to somebody trying to smear a reputation of a trustee like you, Bob, there's nobody that could smear your reputation better than you.
Okay, we're going to move on to village manager, please. You had comments, I believe.
Well, thank you, President, and I'll try to keep my remarks brief. I'm just seeing this information for the first time, and I will continue not to address personnel issues on the floor here. I'll address them in your TIL and where appropriate in a confidential memo under the law. I won't discuss personnel in the audience out of respect for those individuals. I'm reading these documents, and I always love affidavits. and I will tell you that there is misleading information in both affidavits written by these two individuals. I think it's important, again, to state, because Trustee Strite chose to take certain words that I addressed to the entire board respectfully. I think I used that word very clearly, so I don't know where he gets the attack. I was trying to correct. I said right here, let me respectfully correct the record for the mayor and the board. Fact of the matter is that in this one affidavit, and I am going to go right to it, says right here that recently Oak Lawn Village Manager Larry Deachin requested that I meet with him in his office. False. That's an affidavit signed. False. That individual met in my office twice. Okay, he came into my office, he handed me his resignation letter and said, I'll have nothing to do with personal assassination and attacks. I asked him to reconsider. He said no. I said, well, can you think about it for a little bit? And he said, I think it's in the best interest. Those are the facts. Now, having received that resignation, I took a look and I assessed the three individuals who have been providing services to the village for some time. That is Judge Cunningham, Prosecutor Cunningham, Judge Miller, who had just turned his resignation in, and Judge Pecco. And I looked at it. I looked at the information at hand. The people who issue tickets are our police officers in this community, and they issue tickets not to raise revenue, but to secure compliance and abidance of our laws in this community for all of us as residents to live in a peaceful and respectful community. We're not here to raise revenue. Yes, there's fine to sign because of the amount of time and efforts. Any of you who are here on a Tuesday night on the first and the fourth Tuesday of the month when adjudication takes place, you'll see the long lines here, and you'll see the number of men and women that are here that have not complied with the law. I hope they never return again. I hope they're treated fair by our adjudicators, but the intent, as I know the adjudicators tell them, is to comply with the law. That's what it's about. As far as the revenue figures and that, I mean, I don't even want to comment on it. The memorandum prepared by your finance director and included with my memo are the facts, as simple as that. And the two gentlemen who served the village, I thanked them for serving the village. I haven't changed that position. I'd say it to them again if they were sitting here. But let's get the facts straight. And I do hope that we move on, because I know that Mr. Cunningham, staff told me after he performed his first evening, which was the largest line I've seen here, I heard nothing but compliments for how he handled the matter and the manner that he served the residents respectfully in this courtroom here in this auditorium. And that's what it's about, giving respect to the residents, not to get money from them, period. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. And any comments from this side? I'm going to just speak for a little bit. I'm very concerned, Trustee Straight. When I asked if there were any conflicts of interest with any item on tonight's agenda, did you consider the campaign contributions made by these attorneys to be a conflict of interest with what you're discussing?
A conflict of interest essentially exists when you have an interest in the contract. Now, did you consider when you hired a treasurer who gave your campaign $2,500?
The treasurer did not.
Did you divulge that? Did you say to the board, this guy gave me
Paul
$2,500?
O'Grady
No,
donated,
didn't.
or your
Okay.
firm?
Does it only apply to you?
The treasurer did
board
not.
members?
The rules
The treasurer
apply
did
to
not.
everybody
Carol,
but you. Is that
Trustee
right?
Quinlan,
Okay.
address the
Yes.
chair.
You know what? Everybody knows why these attorneys were fired. Their names were right on the hit list, and you can sit here and say all you want.
But you didn't answer
Oh,
my
this is-
question. Trustee
You know what?
Straight, do
I
you
don't have a
feel,
conflict of interest with anything
do you
that
feel
took place
that,
on this agenda.
that those conflicts should not have been disclosed when these attorneys donate thousands? Trustee Oliniechek, how much did they donate?
One of
please?
them is well over, almost $5,000.
And when was the most recent donation, please?
320 of 13.
Okay. Thank you. And any other discussion on this issue? We're
Yes.
going, okay, Trustee Straight.
You know, and I think, again, I think what we're seeing is, I provided facts, and we sit here and we refute, we say, oh, these numbers are village records, okay? So we can
When we
ignore
have a
them.
chance to review
Well, I
them, we
hope-
will read them with interest.
You know what, and I hope
And did
you
we get a
will.
copy for our finance director?
I absolutely do. I have a
Thank
copy
you.
for everybody. Yes,
Thank
I
you.
do. So, you know, and I think what we're saying is, you know what, and I don't mind Trustee Olenichek saying, sure, please help yourself. I don't mind Trustee Olenichek saying, well, look at who gave, you know, who gave these, you know.
We're not gonna address people
But
by
you didn't
name.
stop him from saying
know.
it, just me. And
He
that's
referred
okay.
to a trustee seated next
So
to
you
him.
didn't stop a trustee from
It
saying,
is-
I got conscious.
So we're gonna-
You
we're
didn't-
gonna
what
wrap
about
this
when
up. We're
when
gonna move
when
on.
the attorney sitting next to you gave him $800? You don't,
Right.
did he divulge that? I
And
mean,
he's
is that-
sitting and we
He
pay his
is
salary,
not
right?
on
What about the
agenda.
attorney that gave you 3,500 in-kind
Okay.
donations?
You're gonna
That same
address,
attorney you're talking about.
we're gonna
Would you like
address.
to see that?
But
And that's 1 year.
Okay, we're moving on, we're
Brady
moving on.
donated to
You know,
your
it-
campaign, but it's
you're-
okay?
You're the one
I'm
that
gonna
said
break
we're going to have
this.
ethics
Really?
and transparency.
Trustee Strite,
Who's
if you do
still-
not
who's-
respect
who's
this
still
chair, you
working?
will be escorted from the room.
Already here, Bob.
Okay. Item number 28, request of village records, and this is requested by trustees Strite and Quinlan.
Thank you, Madam President. So, this administration claimed before the election that it would usher in a new era of ethics and transparency in our village government. One would think that transparency would include providing village records and documents to all trustees. However, I made a simple request for a copy of all the emails between our law firm and the village manager from November 1st to the present. These are records these are the records that I'm talking about. I made this request on May 31st. These are village records, and they are available by law to anyone that asks. But the manager actually provided me in writing a denial of my request, and he sent it on to the village attorney to provide a written opinion. I was absolutely amazed that in fact, I really want to get into this, and I'll get into it after the meeting, but with this opinion, I'd like to know who wrote it, but on June 5th, the law firm sent a memo to the village manager that I was not provided with, by the way, until I got my board packet on Friday. The village attorney agreed that the mayor would be entitled to such records, but that claimed that a trustee would not be entitled to those records. And that's interesting because when the former mayor requested those same emails, and I requested them because he requested them, he was not given the records either. So of course that was obviously just an excuse. The mayor in a village manager form of government has no more authority than a trustee to records. A trustee has a right to review the records, including emails between the attorney, who we pay over $1 million a year, and the village manager who earns $150,000 a year. These gentlemen are paid with taxpayer dollars, and the communications between the two of them are relevant to the business that we discuss at this board table. We as a board review the performance of both of these men, and having all of the relevant documents makes it easier to evaluate someone's performance. Each trustee also has a right to review those records in order to have a better understanding of the issues coming before this board and the potential legal liability of each of these issues. It is not acceptable to me to have Mr. Deachin tell us that he discussed it with legal or that legal counsel approved it. I want to see the reasoning because we've been burned before, more than once, on issues that weren't completely provided to this board. Let's not kid ourselves. These actions of hiding records from an elected trustee should worry all of us. If you treat a trustee like this, I can't imagine how you treat taxpayers who request records under the Freedom of Information Act. What is it that you're trying to hide? That's the question everyone is asking now. Let me be clear. As a trustee, I have a legal right to see all of those emails. In the past, I've requested other records and have only been provided with partial records. Basically, anything that was embarrassing was not turned over. That's not transparency, and it's not legal. You can't delete emails that you don't want to show me. You can't ignore my request for records either. We are a governmental entity, and those records must be made available. I know that mistakes are sometimes made because of inexperience, but our attorney and our village manager have been doing this long enough to know better. I don't want to have to file a lawsuit, but it appears that you are not giving me much of a choice. I can't believe that you would be willing to waste taxpayers' dollars defending your position. What is it that you're hiding? I'm asking this board to direct the manager to turn over those emails immediately.
Any other discussion?
Yes.
Trustee Quinlan?
Actually, I personally would like to know why it's Larry Deachin's responsibility to do that. I believe that the clerk is the keeper of the records, and that it would be you that would have that authority, not Larry Deachin, on providing that information. So, Larry, did you ask the clerk?
Address the chair, not each other. So, Larry?
I'd be more than happy to answer the question.
I mean, that is correct, right?
The request was, give me all your emails from November up to, and I forget the date. It's like a
31st.
moving target. Now, well, it was April, now it's May. Trustee Quinlan, I suspect.
But it was a FOIA,
Trustee,
right?
if I could? No, it wasn't a FOIA. It was not a FOIA, which is a difference, because that's probably, I'm gonna guess, maybe 18, 19,000 emails. I am spitting out emails, responding emails, well over 100 a day, and that includes Saturday and Sunday. Okay? I'm not complaining. I'm telling you that those emails deal with confidential real estate. They deal with workers' compensation issues, litigation, real estate, bargaining strategy between 7 collective bargaining agreements, of which personnel costs are $27 million a year to the Village of Oak Lawn. There's a lot of critical information. If a trustee has a specific issue, like let's say 111th and Cicero, Larry, can you tell me more about how we're going to handle landscaping along the perimeter? How are we going to change the bike path? What's the detention? What's the zoning? MWRD. I'm more than happy, but if it's a fishing exhibition where I basically download and have asked not for inspection, but give me, and I've seen this happen, it's happened to me. The next thing you know, it is all over the internet. It is blogged, it's back and forth, and confidential information that could put this village at jeopardy from a litigation perspective, trustee, from a financial perspective, ability to deal with men and women in business that we deal with every day, code enforcement, property maintenance, the very issue that I was communicating with you today about, which is a serious matter, okay? If that information is on the internet, placed on a website, a blog site, etc., it would be irresponsible for me and what you pay me to manage the day-to-day operations of this village. I have no problem providing information, okay, for doing business better in this community, and I'm a big supporter. Anyone can pick up the phone, they can talk to me, okay? I'm extremely accessible. Residents come in on a regular daily basis. I'll see any resident as long as I'm not in a meeting or emergency. That's what my job is about. Certainly, I work for all of you up on this dais. I'm more than willing to get and respond to specific information. But this was the equivalent of a data dump without any scrutiny by legal counsel. It would be highly irresponsible on my part. Okay, I wouldn't be carrying out my job as your manager in a very dutiful way.
So it's your position.
Okay,
that
we
you don't
have,
need
we
to
have a comment from the attorney, please.
Yeah, and I did provide everybody in the board, and I sent it on the 5th, and I thought Trustee Stride had asked for this too at some point or another, but I may be wrong.
Did you write the memo, Paul? Did
It
you
was
write
written
that
by a
opinion?
lawyer at my firm, correct.
Which one?
Dominic Lenzino.
Okay,
And again,
It-
please
it- it-
address
it-
the chair.
okay, thank you.
And trust me, this is the village code, and the village code says, pursuant to the code, only the president and/or village mayor may inspect, and I stress inspect, any and all records as outlined therein. I suppose if this body wanted to give the right to the trustees, they would have put their name right there. But it's not in there, and it's your code, your home rule. You can add it if you want it, but it's not in there. And I am just interpreting the law. The law says, only the village president and/or manager may inspect any and all village records as outlined therein. That's why my opinion is that way, Bob. It's nothing personal, it's nothing against anybody.
Madam Mayor,
Nothing in my
The mayor asked
emails.
for these
Madam Mayor?
Wait, Trustee Straight, you had comments.
Okay,
And then Trustee Oliniechek, then Trustee Quinlan, then the
And I
manager.
don't,
I would just respectfully disagree with the village attorney that it may be the village code, but it's not law that would stand up in the state.
Okay, Trustee
That
Quinlan.
information
code.
must be turned over.
I must follow the village
Yeah,
code.
it's
I'm
not-
sorry.
But Attorney O'Grady, are you suggesting that a state statute doesn't supersede our village code?
I state prior that, as stated, only the elected official who is afforded a right to inspect is the president, 65 ILCS 5/3.1/1-35-20.
Is that PICO's?
That's,
No. Okay, you refer to the PICO's case in this.
No,
in your-
I'm
was
citing.
totally inappropriate. It has nothing to do with requesting
And I do
communications between village officials.
I'm
Nothing.
citing the state statute.
Okay, and Trustee Quinlan.
I just disagree.
And we had, I think, Trustee Oliniechek next, or was it?
Yeah, that is
Okay.
me. I'm just asking myself, what is different that has happened? That all of a sudden, it seems to be that people are trying to ask for an incredible amount of information, almost to purposely try to paralyze the everyday, in and day out work of this village, because this is just one part of the requests that are going on. It doesn't mention the other people that used to be on this board that are requesting tons of information. And quite honestly, we are here, Bob, you did say it truthful. We're here to serve the residents of the village of Oak Lawn, and I would ask you to do that. If you have an issue or you have something you need to investigate, it should be vetted. But when you're asking for incredible amounts of information that you have absolutely no requirement to ask for that, other than you feel you have the right, I believe that that is unfair. I believe it is taking a valuable resource, our village manager, away from, as you mentioned, public safety, negotiating contracts, all the things that you said that we as a village need to get on, and the projects that we have moved forward on and continue to move forward on, it takes them away from that. And it's not just the village manager, it's all the other people that work in the village that have to drop what they're doing to look at this request to move on. And I'm saying the biggest change to what has happened distinctively after April. And I would ask, let's move forward, let's not look back. Let's continue to govern this village and do good things for this village.
Absolutely, and just a quick comment on
Okay,
that,
we have
though.
village manager next, and then we're going to just move on.
Thank you, Trustee Quinlan. I did want to add, and I forgot about it until Trustee Strite started speaking. Recently, what I would consider surrogates for, we'll call it ex-elected officials, whatever, have been FOIAing my work schedule going back to 2007. It's computerized, which would show my calendar. They have been FOIAing my telephone numbers, which they're certainly entitled to FOIA, in addition to all those emails. So in the case of the telephone calls, I assisted Carmi and Jane and Chris, who were up here to maybe 8 o'clock
And
on
about
a
3
Friday.
summer helpers.
The whole weekend, and then the next week, we had to ask for requests, because I had to go through each telephone call, and I'm looking at again, thousands. If you go back to this is going back to 2007, as long as I've had the same cell phone and the mobile phone telephone calls. Well, under the law, I have the right to redact personal numbers, private numbers, information on people. Once again, you know how serious this is. This information gets, for reasons that are not business in orientation, not only is it, I think, disrespectful and terrible way to conduct one ethically, it is so time consuming. We're getting these requests on a regular basis from former elected officials,
Not just
and,
formal.
and surrogates of elected officials. Okay? Once again, I respectfully said, names aren't important, I said, if you could tell me what the issue is, pinpoint the time period, we can easily have our information technology download during a period of time any of the emails or communications with that issue. If it's about collective bargaining, if it's about a real estate transaction, if it's about a citizen that's complaining about conduct of village employees, including myself, okay? Tell me, and we'll get you any emails that I would have sent out on that subject. Give me the subject heading, and we'll do a search based on the subject. Give me a date, time, and we'll do a search on the, we can do that. We're, you know, not a secret. Our IT person's behind the phone because everybody does a multiple tasks here tonight, Tom. And Tom will spend his waking days and hours and weekends getting this data. You know, is it about doing business? If it's about doing business and doing it better for the community, I'm all for it. I am.
Okay.
Two real quick points, please.
As quick as possible, we're
Very-
moving
yeah,
on, we're moving on.
Just real simple points, and that is that in this age of electronic communications, it couldn't be easier to download this information onto a disk for our consideration. The other point is, you don't really have the right to deny that information to anybody. So you can think you
Okay.
do, it sounds like you think you do, but you don't have that right.
Item number 29, the village clerk's report. Clerk Quinlan.
Right. Disbursement Resolution Number 2013-12D, approval of semi-monthly disbursements dated July 9th, 2013, in the amount of $3,567,027.65.
Okay, may I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve?
Properly moved by trustee Oliniechek.
Second.
Seconded by trustee Carberry. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Trustee Carberry?
Yes.
Trustee Vorder?
Yes.
Trustee Streit?
Yes.
Trustee Quinlan?
Yes.
Trustee Oliniechek?
Yes.
Motion passes. Mayor, Ms. Mayor, I have a couple more items.
Okay.
I just want to thank everybody for coming out to all of our special events. Last Sunday, we had a wonderful day. We had the car show, and then we had the concert. It was just absolutely wonderful. So thank you. It's nice to see everybody, and thank you for the nice comments. And last, I've got Trustee Quinlan, just for the record, I'd just like to read a little something. There's absolutely no truth to your statements using my name, but I have heard contrary from an excellent employee that was asked by the certain employee you referred to why that employee did not have a sign up for the former mayor. This person has come to me several times to the near point that this person was harassed. So this was done during business hours, and this employee did feel intimidated. And Trustee Quinlan, again, for the record, the election is over, and the wonderful, fine residents of the village of Oak Lawn have spoken. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to item 30. Item 30A is a request to approve a Class C liquor license, one-day special event from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. for PJ's Pour House, located at 5653 West 87th Street in District 1. And item 30B is an ordinance issuing that license. May I have a motion, please, on items 30A and 30B?
Motion to approve?
Properly moved by trustee Oliniechek.
Second.
Seconded by trustee Carberry. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Trustee Carberry?
Yes.
Trustee Vorder?
Yes.
Trustee Streit?
Yes.
Trustee Quinlan?
Yes.
Trustee Oliniechek?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Item number 30C is a request to approve a Class C liquor license. This is a one-day special event on July 19th from 5 o'clock p.m. to 10 o'clock p.m. for TC Pub Town and Country Liquors located at 9700 South Cicero Avenue in District 3. And item 30D is an ordinance granting that license. May I have a motion, please, on items 30C and 30D?
Motion to approve.
Properly moved by trustee Oliniechek.
Second.
Seconded by trustee Streit. Any discussion? Clerk Quinlan, please take the roll.
Trustee Carberry?
Yes.
Trustee Vorder?
Yes.
Trustee Streit?
Yes.
Trustee Quinlan?
Yes.
Trustee Oliniechek?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Moving on, in one of the more positive things to come from this meeting tonight is, with the length of it, is our new Facebook page. We started with about 100 likes, and during the length of this meeting, we now have 258 likes. So, one of the nice advantages to a long meeting, we have a new Facebook page. It's just getting started. There will be a link on the official village website, and I encourage anyone who's on Facebook, please like our page, please share it with your friends. We're going to have announcements of special events, village news, and if any trustees, like Trustee Vorder with his meeting coming up, would like an announcement for that, it's a great way to get the word out. Not everyone reads regular mail, not everyone is on the phone anymore, but just about everyone these days is on Facebook. So I'm really excited. And can you refresh? Did we get any more likes from? Let's see. Still at 258. But that's pretty awesome. So really excited about that. And thank you to Tom for helping me get that page going. We had a couple tech issues with it. So just exciting news there. So thank you. So the next item is item F, conflict of interest policy. And what I'm doing here, I'm going to request that our newly reconstituted Legal Ordinance and Ethics Committee discuss this at their meeting. From there, I'm going to ask them to present this board with a resolution for the adoption of a policy in which conflicts of interest are declared, and those with conflicts recuse themselves from voting on those issues before the board. As part of the resolution, I'm asking them to please define what exactly a conflict of interest is. And I would like every village, every meeting in the village, from village board meetings, commissions, and committees, to have, as we did at the start of the meeting today, a request for disclosure of conflicts of interest. So that's what that's about. And going back, Trustee Quinlan, you talked a little bit about the seniors. We did have 2 meetings already with a group of seniors from the senior center. And I'm sorry I didn't know about the senior commission meeting.
I didn't either. I was called at the last minute, one of the commissioners.
Yeah, I would welcome their input. What we formed is a small focus group. We're sending them out in teams to surrounding area senior centers to kind of be our secret shoppers, to bring back elements they liked and elements they didn't like. So as we work on with Ernest developing a new senior center, that we do it with exactly what they want and deserve. Our goal is to be the best and most thoughtful senior center, have it the best we can afford, and not only do it as quickly as possible, but just do it to their specifications. So I'd encourage you to come to the next meeting. We don't have that scheduled yet. It will be in August sometime.
Do you have the commission on there as well?
I did not do that. This is composed of people who attended the senior center regularly, and we have the leadership of Mary Kay Barton, and she's sought out very active and energetic and interested people to serve on this committee. I understand, for example, they have different groups within the senior center, and there's representation of all those groups. And many of them didn't even know a senior commission existed. So we want to engage both groups, definitely, but so.
Yeah, I definitely would suggest that.
Okay.
At least one member from there.
Yeah. So we are working in earnest on looking for a new location, looking for something that would be appropriate. I want to just thank Paul Enderly he's the new superintendent at School District 123. He attended that meeting also. He was extremely responsive and considerate to the feedback that he received so far. And the parking lot, I understand, is being done and to enhance access. And it's clear that they care very, very much about the program, and I just wanted to thank them. And I thank you for attending that also, Village Manager Deachin. So let's see, moving on. Village pensions. Okay, everyone had a question what this was. Our new treasurer, Pat O'Donnell, has been working harder than I have ever seen anyone work, I think, on the finances of the village. He is Brian, how about it? He's really pulling up all the numbers, looking at things carefully. He's been making personal introductions to all of you, and I understand only one trustee has not responded yet, and I'd encourage that trustee to do so, get to know the treasurer. So the goal, I want, we're looking at, of course, our unfunded pension liability, and we're looking at all these issues the villages face. And what I want this board to do is act decisively to preserve these village pension benefits for the future. For these young firefighters and police officers just starting out, I don't want there to be absolutely nothing for them in 10 years or 5 years or 20 years. So our actions are needed to preserve that benefit moving forward. Mr. O'Donnell and I are calling therefore a special meeting to discuss village pensions in executive session. This is an educational meeting, and what I have this on the agenda for is to discuss potential dates for the meeting. So since it's summer, he is available Tuesday the 23rd, which is the date we would normally meet, but only before 6 p.m. Monday, the 22nd, after 6 p.m., but I'm not available then. We have Wednesday, the 24th, before noon, and any time after August 5th except Tuesday nights. Are there any dates? Should I just throw some out via email? What is the pleasure of this body here?
Madam Mayor, I think if you try to make a meeting at 5:30 or 6 o'clock before a meeting, I think everyone should.
Yeah, the 23rd, you said that was an open date?
But he would need before 6. He's not available after 6. So if we schedule it at 5:30, it's a half-hour meeting.
Oh, I'm sorry, he's not available after 6
Yeah,
o'clock.
that's the problem. That's the goal, so.
Probably easiest through email so everyone can
Okay,
get their
I'm going to shoot for evening in August after August 5th, if that's okay. And that's what that's about. Just wrapping up, we had an absolutely incredible week at the Village of Oak Lawn. I want to thank all the residents who came out to the events. We had the 4th of July parade. What a absolutely wonderful day that was. We had the antique car show and the summer concert in Jane. It was amazing. It was a good time there. I want to thank the volunteers, the sponsors, and everyone who had a part of these events. I really enjoyed meeting all the residents, and what we have here is a very, very special community, and I encourage everyone to take advantage of these free events. It's absolutely fantastic. Oh, one more thing, I'm sorry. How could I forget this one? This is awesome. This young man, and I hope I pronounce his name right, it's Brian Thomas Bogusevich. Bogusevich. He was just signed, his contract was bought by the Chicago Cubs June 25th. He grew up in Oak Lawn, right about 99th Street. And so those of you who may know him or the family, Village is very proud of our local guy and Cubs guy too. So congratulations, Brian, and let's get some winnings for the Cubs. So well, we'll see. So that's about it. We're on to item 31. I'd like a motion, please, to go into executive session.
So moved.
For the purpose of discussing pending litigation. I believe that was Trustee Olenichek properly moving that motion, and seconded by Trustee Vorder. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Trustee Carberry?
Yes.
Trustee Vorder?
Yes.
Trustee Streit?
Yes.
Trustee Quinlan?
Yes.
Trustee Olenichek?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, so we're going to ask people to clear the room for the executive session, and thank you. Sorry it was such a long